Okay, Year 10. Today's lesson is going to be on negative indices. And again, this is a revision lesson. We've already done this. We did this last year in Year 9. But let's go over our index laws and our index results. So remember our index laws so far? A to the m times a to the n. You add the powers. A to the m plus n. A to the m divided by a to the n, we subtract the powers. You're going to have to know these off by heart. A to the n to the m, we multiply the powers. Remember, our index results, x to the 1 is just x. X to the 0 is 1. And 0 to the power of anything is 0, which gives us our quandary of what 0 to the 0 is, and that's undefined. And we need to know the 1 to the power of anything. 1 to the power of anything, you don't need to know this. 1 to the power of n, or 1 to the power of anything, is just going to be 1. Okay, so we've got another index law, and it's a to the negative n. And whenever you get a negative in, and people will do this later on, please don't be one of those, they'll put a negative out the front. The negative just tells you it's 1 over the top. How does that work? So let's have a look at an example. Let's take 3 squared. We're going to follow a pattern. 3 to the power of 1, 3 to the power of 0, 3 to the power of negative 1, 3 to the power of negative 2. Now, usually we would go up the pattern, but we can come down the pattern. We know 3 squared is 3 times 3, and I'm going to write it deliberately like that. To get to the next one, to go down this pattern, 3 to the power of 1 is 3. So how have I gotten there? I've divided by 3. Okay, so let's follow that pattern. Let's go down another one. 3 to the power of 0. Well, that's 3 over 3. I've taken the number above and I've divided by 3. And I'm going to use the equal sign here, because I've already written that, equals 1. So dividing by 3 again. So I'm going to divide by 3 again to get the next one. So 1 divided by 3 is 1 over 3. And I'm going to divide by 3 again. And that's 1 over 3 times 3. Well, 1 over 3 squared. And that's where it goes. That's how we get our negative index laws. So our negative indices just means 1 over the top. And you have done this before. Now, these are the laws here that you need to be aware of. So it's pretty easy. You can see them. The only one you really need to know is this one. Oops, made a bit of a mess of it. Is this one. We're going to talk about the other one. If there's a negative in the power, you can just put it up the other way. So for example, let's have a look at that one where we've got 1 over a to the negative m. Well, you can do this 2 ways. You can say, that's 1 over a to the m. And what do we do when we divide by a fraction? We multiply by the reciprocal. So it's 1 times a to the m over 1, which is just a to the m. So if you've got a negative in the bottom, another way to think of it is 1 over a to the negative m. Well, that's that whole thing. That's a to the negative m to the negative 1. And what do we do to those powers? We multiply them. A to the m. Because a negative times a negative is a positive. So 2 ways to think about it. But if you've got a negative in the denominator of a fraction, you can just move it to the top, move it to the numerator and make it positive. Let's have a look at this next one though, because it's pretty important and it saves you a lot of time if you know this. And it's this one here. A to the negative, A on B to the negative 1, or indeed the one underneath it, because we can do them both at the same time. A, B to the negative n. So how do we explain that? Well, if we've got a fraction, A on B, and it doesn't matter what that is, A on B, and we raise that to the negative 1, oh, that's just 1 over the top of A on B. And what do we do when we divide by a fraction? Oh, you multiply by the reciprocal, so it's 1 times B on A, which is just B on A. And hence you can see they just swap position. And that happens when you have A on B to the negative n. Oh, that's 1 on A on B to the n. Oh, that's 1 on A to the n on B to the n. Oh, multiply by the reciprocal, 1 times A to the n on B to the n. Oh, silly. B to the n on A to the n, which is B on A to the n. So if you have a negative in the power, you just put it down the bottom or move it up the top or flip a fraction. So let's have a look at these. And I've asked you to do the last two columns of 4 to 10. So it's a fair bit of work. So I'm going to do the first column. And remember, it's only the pronumeral or the number to the power that you need to worry about. So here's 4a. X to the negative 5. Oh, 1 on x to the 5. E. 3a squared b to the negative 3. Well, don't have to do anything with the 3a squared, but the b to the negative 3 goes underneath. Oh, but it's no longer negative. Yes, that's right. So now in I, I've already got a fraction. So I've got 1/3 p to the negative 2 q cubed and r. Well, I'll leave the third alone. I'm going to write a big fraction. Because that p's going down below, because I've got a negative, it goes underneath. The q stays up there and the r stays up there. I'm just going to make sure I've got my solutions open, so I'll double check because I don't want to make a mistake. So and I'm just going down there now, exercise 2. Well, that's 1. We're in about 2F, aren't we? Let's just check again, see what questions we're doing. That's elective. Let's see, 7. Here we go. 2G, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Okay, 2G. What one was that? 4I. And yep, we're right. Now, you don't need the 1 there. Now, let's have a look at 5. We've got to express these as positive integers only. So 5a, 1 over x to the negative 2. Well, that is just x to the 2. 5e, 2b to the 4, d to the negative 3. Well, that equals 2b to the 4, leave that alone, and that d just comes up. Now, I'm going to do h, because I reckon you're going to have trouble with it. Make sure you have a go at it before you go any further. So you go away, have a go at it, and come back. 5h, sorry, yeah, it is 5h, it's 5h cubed over 2g to the negative 2. Now, you don't move that 2. It's not to the power. So the 5, the h, and the 3, and the 2 all stay the same. Only the g moves. And I should have written that g squared first. So question 5h. And is it cubed? I must have written it wrong because it's h squared g cubed. Have I written the question incorrectly? No, it's h cubed g cubed. H cubed g cubed. So I should add a cube on that. So cubed. In the answers they've got, oh no, that's what they've got. Okay. 7, we get powers to powers. Well, these are easy. 6. We're just going to use positive integers. So these are pretty easy. Now you can do the multiplication first, do the addition first, or do the subtraction first, and then tidy it up at the end. So that's what I'm going to do. So 6a. X cubed times x to the negative 2. Well, we add the powers. 3 plus negative 2. I wouldn't do this. I'd do it in my head. That's just x to the 1. Because we're adding the powers. The next one, b. 3a to the negative 4. 3a to the negative 4 times 2a squared. Well, we multiply the two numbers. 3 times 2, we get 6. Then we add the powers. And a to the negative 4 plus 2 is negative 2. But they want me to write this with only positive indices. So now I've got my simplest answer. I've just got to write that 6, and I have to put that a squared in the denominator. And I'm just checking the answers again. I'll just have to scroll a little bit. So what was that one? 6. And it's not B, it's 6E. Righto. Now, a division. 2x to the negative 2 over 3x to the negative 3. And then what's this? This is I. 2x to the negative 2, 3x to the negative 3. All right, is that right? Good. Now, there are a lot of ways to do this. You can move that 3 upstairs if you want, make it positive, and you can cancel. I'm just going to do the subtraction. The 2 and the 3, they don't move. They've got no powers with them. But negative 2 minus 3 is going to put that x up there. Yeah, because it's going to come with positive 1. This is a division. These two are being divided. Okay? If you want to think about it another way, you can go, oh, that's 2x to the negative 2 and the 3, and I'm going to bring that other x upstairs and make it positive. And now I'm adding them. So I've got 2 on 3 and x to the 1. All right? Or even better, you can go 2x to the negative 2 over 3x to the negative 3. And you just swap those powers. The 2 and the 3 stay the same. The x cubed comes upstairs. The x squared goes downstairs. And then you cancel. You cancel. And you get 2x on 3. Now, if I'm just going to look at those, I'm going to see if you're going to have trouble, because you probably will. Yep, you're going to have trouble with P. So I'm going to do P for you. You go and have a crack at it, see if you get the same answer as me. So P is 15t to the negative 4, 18t to the negative 2. So P, 15t to the negative 4, 18t to the negative 2. All right, I do the numbers on my calculator just to double check, but I know that 3 goes into that 6 times, 3 goes into that 5 times. So my numbers are 5 on 6. Now I've got -4 minus -2. So that's going to become +2. So I'm going to get t to the -2. I can't have a negative indice. So I'm going to have 5. I'm going to take that t downstairs. 5 on 6 t squared. Now again, remember, there are many other ways you could have done that. And I'm just going to check, what was that question 6p? Am I looking at the right one? For some reason, I've got a different answer. 6p I'm looking at the wrong exercise, thank goodness. 2f, g, 6p. Yep, there we go, that's right. So, now we go to 7, and we've got our powers. So, question 7. I'm going to rub some out so I can keep them here. I'm going to rub some out so I can keep some here. And see how we go. So, 7a, what have we got? A power of a power. So we've got 2x squared on x cubed to the 4. I'm going to simplify inside those parentheses first. I'm going to cancel that with that. So I've got 2 on x to the 4, which means I'm going to get 2 to the 4 on x to the 4. And 2 to the 4 is 16 on x to the 4. There's question 8. 7a. So 16 on x to the 4. That's pretty easy. If I do e, and again, I'll just erase a bit of this down below. Right, I've got 3t to the -4 squared. Well, that's 3 squared, and t to the -4 times 2, t to the -8. So that's 9, and that t to the 8 goes underneath. And finally, in I, I've got 4 on y squared to the -2. Well, that negative just means I flip it. So 4 on y squared, silly, I didn't flip it after saying I was going to. Y squared on 4 squared. So that's going to be 2 times 2, y to the 4, 4 squared, 16. Now, do you get any like that? You don't. I wish you got some fraction. I'm actually going to change it. I'm going to want you to do the middle 2 columns. The middle 2 columns. That way you're going to get some fractions and you're going to get some powers. So we need to do fractions. Question 8. I might come back and do some question 8. You go and have a go at those ones, and I'll make another video and I'll put it on. Thank you.